So there's actually a stock that I don't see a lot of people covering, and it's quickly become one of my favorite stocks to purchase this year. Now, when I first started adding this position earlier this year, I had about 10 stocks in my portfolio, and this stock has quickly become my 5th largest position in my portfolio. And I think it's safe to say that the more I research this stock, the more I like it, the more addicted I become, the more I buy it, and the higher it climbs in my portfolio. So which stock am I talking about? Well, the ticker symbol is TSM. Doesn't ring a bell? I'm talking about Taiwan Semiconductor. Stay tuned to find out a lot more. What's up everybody, my name is Ale and welcome to my world of finance. Today we're talking about my 5th largest stock, and that's Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker symbol TSM. As always, make sure to leave a comment down below for Ale's World Consensus. Let me know if you are bullish, bearish, or neutral on TSM. I'll tally up the results and I'll have that for you guys in a future video. Also, be sure to support the channel by hitting the like button. Now let's go ahead and get started. Now, before we talk about the pros and cons of this stock and the reasons why I'm buying it, let's run through the stock and its performance. All right, now TSM is currently priced at a little under $40 per share. Now looking at this 5-year chart, you can see that they've been trending upward, up over 100% in the last 5 years. But if you notice year to date, 2018, the year that we're in, they're still technically down about 5%, but that's actually something that I love to see. If I can make it through about half of the year and find a stock that I really like and they're still technically down for the year, then I think that that's a great thing. All right, now running through the company description, just to let you know, Taiwan Semiconductor, they're basically a chip foundry or a chip manufacturer. They manufacture chips for other companies. And so they operate in the electronic technology sector under the semiconductors industry. Under the company description, it says that its chips are used in personal computers and peripheral products, information applications, wired and wireless communication systems, automotive and industrial equipment, including consumer electronics such as digital video compact disc players, digital television, game consoles, and digital cameras. All right, now as far as its major customers go, throughout history, its biggest client has been Apple, which is just a beast of a company, and I think it's great, but it has left them a little prone to the weakening smartphone market, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later when we get into the cons section. But they do have other customers as well. So they do also make chips for NVIDIA, also for AMD. By the way, AMD is looking like they will be beating Intel to the 7nm punch with the help of, you guessed it, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors. And then they're also doing a lot of artificial intelligence business, a lot of AI business with some behemoth companies in Google and Microsoft. And when we talk about the market that they operate in, contract manufacturing, TSM actually dominates that market at over 50% market share. Their next biggest rival, Global Foundries, they only have about 10%. Okay, now looking at their financials, we know that their PE ratio used to be much better last year, but given a rise in share price and a decrease in EPS, that PE ratio has been climbing. And so now it's a bit high. It's sitting at about 16. That's kind of where the industry is at anyway, so it's not too bad, but it could certainly be a lot better. When looking at the PS and PB ratios, those are sitting at 6 and 4 respectively. That's a bit high. We would like it to be under 1, but in that industry, they do tend to be, from what I've seen, they tend to be a little higher anyway, but still, it's a bit high. You could probably make the argument that the stock is a little pricey at the moment, but their profit margin is actually very nice. It's sitting at over 35%. Now, looking at their income statement, I am very impressed. Revenue and net income have both been increasing every single year, showing not only growth, but also showing great management and great operations. Now looking at their balance sheet, it's maybe not the best, but it's certainly impressive. I really like it. And looking at their current assets, it's sitting at about $28 billion, 18 of which is cash. And then looking at their current liabilities, that's sitting at about 13 billion. So you have a current ratio there of about 2-to-1, which is very good, very impressive. Okay, now let's run through some of the cons before we transition quickly to the pros. Now you might be asking, you know, everything has been looking pretty good so far, so why has the stock been suffering a little bit? Why has it been dipping a little bit? I've certainly been picking it up on the dip, but we know that it kind of peaked last year, and then this year it's been kind of declining a little bit, down year to date. So why is that? So I think that there's really a few reasons that we can run through. Now, one is certainly because of investor and analyst concerns over a cyclical decline in the chip market. We know that when you have a tremendous amount of demand, it is usually met by even more supply. And so that can end up crashing the industry and hurt a lot of these chip stocks. Okay, so that's one concern. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's one concern. Another concern is that the majority of TSM's business is actually done with Apple. Okay, and we've seen weaker smartphone sales. So TSM actually lowered some of their guidance for the year, in terms of sales by about 2.5%. It may not seem like a lot, but it can equate to quite a bit, and especially for investors and analysts. And so because of that decline, because of concerns over weaker smartphone sales, that is a concern as well, a little bit of a weaker guidance there. And also they lowered that guidance also because of cautiousness in the cryptocurrency market. Okay, so we know that Bitcoin has been struggling a little bit, a few other cryptocurrencies as well, and so maybe mining will slow down, things like that. And so a few concerns there. Because of that, they're being a little cautious and they lowered guidance a little bit. On top of that, we know that TSM didn't meet analyst expectations when they reported their EPS in the last quarter. But my counter argument to all of these different things is that while TSM does have some very major clients that make up a big portion of their revenue, like Apple, Nvidia, AMD, things like that, they are also pretty well diversified. They have over 465 different clients. They manufacture 10,000 different products, and they use over 250 different technologies for those products. So I think it's safe to say that you could argue that TSM is not only one of the largest chip manufacturers, but they are also one of the most diversified ones as well. We also know that analysts from SFG have upgraded the stock, giving a new price target of $48 up from $36, citing strong potential growth in artificial intelligence. And so when looking at their AI foundry customers, that ranges from small companies to enormous cloud computing giants like Google and Microsoft. And so again, this is a sign of diversification, as TSM can actually make up for some of the weaker smartphone and consumer device sales, and they can make up for some of that revenue with revenue being generated from artificial intelligence. In fact, SFG notes that they predict that we could see as much as 25% of the revenue being generated from artificial intelligence by 2020. On top of that, don't forget that we also have 5G wireless technology being developed, and that also poses huge growth potential for TSM. On top of that, their partnership with AMD will likely mean that they will have their hands in on AMD's 7nm Vega and Navi, not to mention the fact that eventually we'll see 5nm and even 3nm, because TSM is just kind of way ahead of the curve at this point. But that means that they will be able to benefit from the next generation of home gaming consoles, as well as gaming PCs that occupy the enormous and growing gaming market. And if all of those reasons weren't good enough to be bullish on the stock, TSM also pays out a dividend that has been increasing every single year for the last 5 or so years. And so in conclusion, I find that the more I research TSM, the more that I like them. You're talking about a company that continuously improves their net income, has a very strong balance sheet, they dominate the market that they operate in, yet they still have a tremendous amount of growth opportunities with some giant companies, giant well-established companies that are here to stay, and they also pay out a dividend. I think the only real bearish case that I see a lot of people making against the stock is because of cyclical worries. And I think that has already been hurting the stock. And this is a stock that perhaps by now we could have seen it actually be a lot higher than it is right now. So I think it's definitely been already hurting the stock as it is. And so looking at its current share price, I don't really see it dropping a whole lot more, but if it does, it's probably because of cyclical worries, or if it drops a major amount, probably because of their 5nm or 3nm technologies failing, or maybe a recession or things like that. But either way, the stock kind of dipping some more, I'd probably just be picking up some more stock because I really like this stock at the moment. But who cares what I think? It matters what you guys think. So make sure you leave a comment down below. Are you bullish, bearish, or neutral on Taiwan Semiconductors? And maybe even give me a reason why. I can't fit everything into this video. I can't include all the pros and all the cons and all the partnerships and all the dealings and all that. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinion and what you guys have to say. But either way, please make sure that you support the channel. Hit the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And make sure you're subscribed. And I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care.